Hi everyone. Today we did get a really strong push into the pre-market, but we gave all of that back, finishing right at the highs from the after hours yesterday, right at the level. 535.72 is the support right now. Momentum is slightly bearish. RSI is slightly bearish. Are we going to pull back here a little bit more? Potentially, but let's take a quick look at the charts. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So in news today, we have Secretary Bessent coming out saying that there is a big opportunity for a big deal here with China. Yesterday, Trump said he thinks the tariffs are going to be going down, and now you got Bessent reconfirming that here today. Big deal on the table. If we want to rebalance, let's do it together. And of course, he had to throw some strikes out there saying that the World Bank is lending to nations with advanced economic growth like China. So that's not really what they're meant to do. But anyway, is there an opportunity for a deal? Will this give us some clarity? I certainly think there is a possibility here. Anything less than 145% tariff would be absolutely great. Reducing tariffs to 50 to 60% would be still pretty high, still not super great, but way better than what we were looking at previously. Would this give markets a boost from current levels? I think that is absolutely the case, especially with all of the uncertainty that's out there right now. So definitely interesting. Hopefully this comes to fruition and we can have some certainty with regards to China. Moving over to fear and greed, we stepped up to a 27 from a 24. So continuing to see this kind of low, higher low pattern. Extreme fear still across all of the major indicators. Put call ratio flat here over the last couple days. VIX coming back down as we expected it to, into neutral there. Interesting to see that pulling back. Junk bonds still extreme greed, and this is because I just don't think we've seen that economic weakness that everyone's been pointing to. Bonds have been coming in just fine. Markets not so much, still extreme fear, but for those fixed incomes they have been doing quite well even through all this volatility. Moving over to the economic calendar here for today, we saw global manufacturing PMI come in above 50. That's what we were hoping for. Services PMI also above 50. New home sales also very good for March, and the month-over-month numbers pretty strong there. Everything looks good there. 5-year note auction coming in below 4%. Really everything we could have hoped for except for that services PMI meeting expectations. Really nice. For tomorrow, we do have those core durables. Fairly interesting 7-year note auction. And then Michigan data to wrap out the week. Not a whole lot of major data except for that durable goods orders. Moving over to earnings, pretty much green across the board. AT&T missing on the bottom line, O'Reilly missing on both, but a lot of green. So interesting to see that. Southwest Airlines even beating on both. You like to see that as well. Tomorrow we get Google, P&G, T-Mobile, PepsiCo, Gilead, Union Pacific. Want to see how those transports are doing. If those orders are still good, maybe we're still doing okay economically. Comcast also in there tomorrow. And then you have American Airlines as well. Again, want to see how those airlines are doing. And then for the Friday, not a whole lot. AbbVie, Colgate-Palmolive, and SLB. Moving over to the charts, starting off with the S&Ps here, you can see we did gap up a lot, and then we finished lower on the day, up 1.5% here for the SPY charts, but look at those key levels, 535.72, just like we talked about in the open. That is the level. We got to that 21 EMA. We expected to get there. Hit that next level, 540.90. That was resistance. We did go above it, did finish well below it. We're right at the lows here from that Thursday session as well. So critical level, 535. If we can hold above that, then you're looking for 559.76 potentially. You still have some gap fills in here that could happen. Momentum bullish, RSI still bullish, but we had the huge move. There really wasn't any kind of intraday movement. You can see it here on the hourly chart. Went higher pre-market, fell into the open, consolidated, did not do much of anything. Did hold support into the close, momentum holding in here, RSI slightly bearish, right? So you have some mixed signals. Honestly, I would like to see this pull back, hit the 200, 523.82. That is a long way from here. That would be down a little bit more than 2% to that zone, hold that area, and then get a nice rally through. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But if it's going to hold here, that's fine. Get a continuation. Might need a little bit more pullback in time before we see that stronger acceleration to the upside if it's going to happen. Otherwise, if this breaks, then your next support is still down here at 517. Moving over to the Tasty charts here just for a moment, you can see that 89 EMA on the 4-hour chart continues to be resistance here. That is at 538.20. We're just below it. We tested it, tried to throw a wick to that 144, could not do it. Understand that the last time we touched this here, you can see here, got a big sell, touched it here, got a big sell, touched it here, got a huge sell. So Is the 89 EMA going to be resistance once again? Remains to be seen. Right now, we are certainly stuck between that 8 and the 89. Mixed conditions, bullish, back to bearish, back to bullish, sideways consolidation, at least in my opinion. Moving over to the NASDAQ, very similar thesis here. Went to the level 459.02, hit that level, hit these kind of wick highs, and rejected from there. You can see this kind of triangle pattern that we're in. Lower highs and higher lows, still wedging in here, waiting for some clear direction. If this wedge is going to hold, you would expect a rejection from here, and for this to go a little bit lower back into the kind of mid-range, 448, maybe as low as the trend here again, 438. Got a level, 446.65 in the middle of that wedge. Right now, momentum is bullish, RSI is still bullish, but looking at that hourly chart, you can see rallied pre-market, gave it all back, consolidated. We are holding that trend support right now in the after hours, couple of touches, starting to find a little bit of strength into the end of the after hours session. So maybe that's the move. Again, 459.02, got that trend resistance just above it, 459.64, and then that next trend, 464.24. So a couple of potential moves in here, waiting to see if we can get through those levels and start to fill some of those same gaps that we've been talking about on the SPY charts. Moving over to the NASDAQ here on the Tasty charts, you can see that 89 EMA still resistance at 455.95. In the after hours, we are right at it, 455.88. Are we going to hold above that level? Are we going to push to the 144 as your next resistance at 465.87? Maybe. If we do, that would be above this previous high here, and then we could start to look for a bigger swing higher. You can see bullish, back to bearish, back to bullish conditions. Right now, you're in that bullish condition. Can we break that next level of resistance? I think we might find out tomorrow. Then moving over here through to the Russell and the Dow, moving a little quicker, you can see gap up, hit those key levels, 195.15, and fell. Still managed to hold 1.5% of gains, momentum still bullish. I still think we'll probably find support here, but next support would be 189 flat. Then we'll see if that zone holds and then rallies or not. If we can get above 191.89, that would be interesting. Similarly here on the Dow, gapped up, hit that 21 EMA, momentum back to bullish, RSI back to bullish. Is this going to continue to wedge in here? Certainly a possibility. Looks like a wedge still here with that high, low, higher low. So waiting to see if this wedges in a little bit tighter and then look for that break, whichever direction it ends up breaking. Interesting to see it in the after hours, basically flat when everything else is slightly up there with the Dow as well. Moving over to the Mag 7, you don't love it here with the Mag 7. Basically the same as everything else. Gap up and fall. Hit VWAP, hit the 21. Support still 249.41. If we can hold that level there, that might be good. Momentum slightly bullish in there as well. RSI slightly bullish, but again, looks like a wedge pattern. Waiting to see what happens. The trend is still down, so I would still expect that wedge pattern to break to the downside, unless we can see it break above this level here at 273.41. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple looking really, really good. Quite a bit better here than Microsoft. You can see Microsoft is still in the middle of this range, not really doing a whole lot. It was up 2% just like everything else, but it's in the middle of this kind of consolidation range. Still looks like a wedge, still looks like consolidation. Apple, on the other hand, looks like a low, higher low setup in here. Can this get to a higher high potentially? That would be interesting. The momentum is a lot better on it. The RSI getting very close to that 50 line. If we can hold above the 50, maybe we can see some strength back into that 224 area. That would be interesting. But either way, Apple looks quite a bit better here in the short term than Microsoft. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA. Tesla was up another 5%, so really strong, nearly 5%, and then over 5% days. Momentum back to bullish, RSI back to bullish, but we're still in the same consolidation. Structurally, this has not changed at all. Hit VWAP, hit that 21, rejected from there a little bit. Looking at NVIDIA, kind of the same thesis, gapped up, hit that major resistance, momentum stepping to bullish, RSI stepping to bullish, but structurally this is just not different. It's not really changing my mind about where markets might be headed over the medium to long term. Can we see a short-term pop? For sure. Can it be aggressive? For sure. But in the medium to long term, I just don't see this changing structure quite yet. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, both of these had an okay day. Staples tried to go higher and then ended up negative on the day. Not super great, but not terrible either. Still positive from 2 days ago. And then you can see discretionaries up about 2.25, momentum bullish, RSI bullish, same structure, but a little bit better here. So we're hanging out right at these highs, tested that next level, 193.81. We didn't even hit that back here on 14 April. So I do like this a little bit better now. 189.38 is the support. If that can hold, that could give you a nice little springboard potentially into that 203.98 area back to the 200. That would be interesting. I still think the 200 will probably be major resistance, but in the short term, if we could get a move from here to there, that would give you a nice little potential for about a 7% move. So something to keep in mind here. Can this hold and push to there? Moving over to breadth. Breadth popped super aggressive. So look at 20-day breadth. Got all the way to 68.14 and then gave some of that back into the middle of the range. You could argue that this is culminated, that we've already gotten to the level that we were expecting to get to here on 20-day. Can this hold in here for a bit? Yes. Can it go higher? Maybe, but we're already getting into some of those pretty high levels, especially for a downtrending market. And then look at 50-day, same thing here, pushed all the way up to that 32 level that we were talking about, the trend line in here. Didn't quite get to the 40 area that we were looking for somewhere in this consolidation, but interesting to see 20-day already getting to some of those key levels. Moving over to the dollar found a little bit more gains here today, got right to the level 99.83, got through the 200, still holding above all the EMAs. So nice little move here on the dollar over the last 2 days. Is it going to reject from here? Right now, it kind of looks like it will, but key level, if we can get above it, might be okay. Momentum on the daily chart looks a little bit better here. Still might see a short-term pullback. Want to see it get above 99. Want to see that dollar regain a little bit of this strength. It's just not great for the broader economy to see the dollar falling so aggressively. Moving over to bonds. Bonds had a great day initially, gave a lot of that back, but still managed to stay positive. At one point, J&K was up 1.5%. Absolutely massive for J&K. Huge move for a bond like this. Still managed to stay up 0.5%. Similarly here on TLT, that was up almost 3%, right at that 3% area. Almost hit the level 89.16. Again, managed to stay positive about 1%, but it was up almost 3%. Still looking like a consolidation bottom, still looking like this is a nice bullish opportunity. I've been saying it forever, and I still believe that. Moving over to the VIX here, you can see the VIX was down about 7%, got through that level 28.89, didn't quite get to the trend here around the 26 area, certainly not as low as 24, but momentum bearish, RSI bearish. Seems like the VIX is set to go a little bit lower. Want to see what happens once we get to that 24 area. We're still right at these highs. I do think we'll probably go through there a little bit, get to this 24 area, and then I would expect at least one more bounce from there. And then looking at my accounts, I did absolutely nothing. You can see 0 trades here today. A younger, dumber version of me would have tried to chase it into that rally that we saw very early in the session and then got chewed up as we fell all session, but I thought that that might be what happened today, and sure enough, it was. I even wanted to go short for a little bit, but I just didn't feel super comfortable going short in such a strong market. It was 2 very powerful days back to back, even with that mid-session fall. And I still think there's potential for upside, so I didn't want to try to fight that like I did yesterday, which was frustrating. So overall, still, I think there is some bullish potential. Need to see some of those levels hold, but we did see a bit of a fall, a bit of a rejection from some of those key levels today. So need to have markets convince me that we can go higher from here, and it wouldn't shock me if we did have a little bit of a pullback either tomorrow or the next day and then a rally through off of this trend. Let me know down in the comments section what you think of the potential for a China deal. Will we get that China deal? Can we see markets go higher on a stronger catalyst? Let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.